live right now on Zoom or watching on Facebook or YouTube, or maybe a year from now, who knows? But it doesn't matter because there's only the eternal now. And one of the terms in family constellations work is the knowing field. And in the knowing field, any information that is will be helpful for all of us to heal or release something we've been carrying is available right now in this moment, whenever that now moment is for you. And what I've learned after doing this work for almost 9 years now, I can't believe it, in June, it'll be 9 years that I've been facilitating family constellations. And every single time it blows me away. There's something magical that happens when we come together to help our brothers and sisters heal and release something, or just connect dots that they maybe wouldn't have connected before. So your presence, whether you're on the screen or your camera is off or watching remotely, it is just as important. You are right here with us. So thank you. What I'd like to do is just share a little bit about what family constellations is. It's one of the hardest parts of my job is to explain what it is, because it is such an experience. It's kind of like the Grand Canyon. You don't really know the Grand Canyon until you've experienced it with your own eyes or been there and seen its vastness. And I would say the same thing about family constellations until you've actually done it. So I'm going to keep my introduction very brief so we can actually experience it and do a little bit as you're willing, as you're able. And I'm going to do the ancestor meditation that I do before all of my workshops, whether they're on Zoom or in person, to call in the support of our ancestors. And I find it very, very helpful to start our groups that way. So I'm going to be doing that in a few minutes. And then we're going to actually do an exercise, a brief exercise to give you an experience of what this work is and how powerful it is, even though we're not in the same room together. So family constellations, why is it called family constellations? I get that question a lot, or people ask, does it have anything to do with astrology? Because it's talking about stars. And it doesn't have anything really to do with astrology other than it's a thought system, a philosophy. But like the stars in the sky, if we were going to go outside tonight and look for the Big Dipper, and maybe it was cloudy or there was lights, we didn't see all the stars, we might not recognize it as the Big Dipper. But those stars travel in that constellation together through the nighttime sky. And the theory of family constellations is souls travel through this lifetime and many lifetimes together in these groups. And if anyone is excluded or forgotten, whether it's intentional or unintentional, the constellation, we wouldn't recognize the Big Dipper if one of the stars was missing, and the family system is off balance. I often compare it to a mobile over a baby's crib. If one of those pieces is missing, the mobile isn't going to balance, and it's not going to do its beautiful thing where it's swirling and moving together. So if for any reason a family member isn't part of the system or hasn't been recognized, it can make the whole system feel unbalanced. So this isn't something I created. It was created by a man named Bert Hellinger. He passed just a few years ago, but he was still teaching and facilitating into his 90s. And he was a priest and a missionary, and he went and lived with the Zulu tribe in Africa for 16 years. And during that time, he was immersed in their culture, and he noticed two things about the Zulu tribe when he was there: that they knew a lot of what happened in their family history. Through oral tradition, they would learn about what happened to their grandparents, their great-grandparents, their great-great-grandparents. They knew the family history. In our culture today, we don't always know. We might know a little bit, and that's changing with the DNA testing that's out there, that we know a little bit more about our families. But many of us don't know anything past our grandparents, maybe our great-grandparents. So that's one difference. And the other difference he noticed was in the Zulu tribe, there was no question about honoring mother and honoring father. Those are our parents, and I honor you. In our society, it's a little different because for a variety of reasons, we may have had parents that couldn't show up the way we wanted them to, or were carrying their own pain, or just weren't there at all. We all have different degrees and different stories and different childhoods, but it's very understandable that we may not respect our parents because we needed something from them that we didn't get, or maybe there was some kind of abuse or something happened. So what this work does, and one of my teachers says this all the time, at some point we need to accept the love from our parents as they gave it, not as we wanted it. I know, take a breath, because some of us maybe didn't get anything. And in that case, if the only thing we can thank them for is the gift of life, to be here on this Earth Day, April 22nd, 2022, that would be enough if we can just thank them for that. And we don't have to embrace any of the pain or anything else, just thank them for the gift of life. But if there is something that you can thank them for, even if it's a sense of humor or a resilience, or maybe musical talent, or um, uh, just a good work ethic, anything like that that you can grab onto will benefit you so much. And so what Bert Hellinger noticed was that just like hair color and eye color and physical attributes can be passed down, and some of those things I was just talking about, musical talent or artistic creativity or a good sense of business, their pains and their traumas can be passed down too. And it's not something that we want to inherit, but out of a sense of love, often we do take on those things. So you may say, well, I'm never going to be like in my case, my mom was an alcoholic. And I said, well, I'm never going to be like that. I'm never going to, have a problem with alcohol. And then I ended up with a series of relationships in with people with a problem with alcohol. So whatever you reject in a parent, it finds a way to come back in until you find a place in your heart for it. It doesn't mean you have to have that family member sitting next to you at Thanksgiving dinner, but if we can just give them their place in the constellation in the sky, like, okay, that's your place. You have a place in this family. You may not have a place at the dinner table, but you have a place in the family. You have a place in my heart. And I'm going to keep a healthy boundary, though, and not have you in my life. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're working with. And I love the fact that we're doing this on Earth Day and that they asked me to be part of this because, we talk a lot about the importance of trees. And I hope everyone gets a chance to hug a tree today at some point. And we're going to be talking about our family tree and how we can get the strength from our family, take the good, leave the rest, because our ancestors, they really do want the best for us, whether they were able to express it or not. They just, any of you who are parents know, you just want the best for your kids. You want them to have more opportunities than you did. You want them to have happy, healthy relationships and jobs that they love, and abundance to be able to do all the things they want to do. And that's really what our ancestors want for us too. So without further ado, without me talking some more, I am going to lead us in that ancestor meditation so you can have the experience of the support of your ancestors. So you don't have to be able to see me. If you want to turn off your camera or just shut your eyes and get comfortable wherever it is, it's going to be about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to click a few buttons here and share some music to go underneath this meditation. And it will be sent right to your device. And we're just going to take a moment to be present and connect and call in the support of our ancestors. So here we go. So I'm noticing myself instinctively wanting to take a slow, deep breath. So let's all do that together. Breathing in and exhale. And let's do that again together. Breathing in and exhale. And one more time, slow breath in and gently release. And I'd like you to bring your attention to your heart center, that place where that divine spark lives in each and every one of us, that beautiful light that can never be extinguished because it was placed there by God. And as we bring our attention there, that light gets brighter. That glow begins to expand, filling up our chest and moving out through every cell and tissue of our body, through our arms and legs and out the top of our head. That beautiful divine light is completely immersing our body. And it feels peaceful and safe and healing. And it continues to expand out into the space wherever you are, filling that space with this beautiful golden white light. And it's continuing to expand, filling your home. And if you share your home with other people or four-legged friends and family members, know that the light is connecting with their hearts. And the light is being added from their hearts, allowing that light to get even bigger and brighter. And it's filling up your home now and spilling out the windows and doors, moving out into your neighborhood, connecting with anyone going about their day right now. And the light from their heart is added, giving that light even more expansion and beauty and strength as it's sweeping through your neighborhood and your cities and towns, through the states or wherever you are on planet Earth. And it's spreading out across planet Earth, across every continent. And we are now all connected in that beautiful light. Every heart on every continent, all 7 billion plus of them have been added. And Mother Earth is glowing on this Earth Day in that divine love that we have envisioned, that we know is there. And now that light is moving out past the Earth's atmosphere, past the planets, past the moon, connecting with the sun, and the brilliance of the sun is added, allowing that light to expand even more broadly out to the edges of the solar system, out into other galaxies where it connects with stars. And when it does, that light expands into infinity. There's nowhere that light is not. And every heart in every dimension of time and space has been added, past, present, future. We are all connected in that light. It feels good to know that no one is left out. And as we bask in this beautiful divine light that is everywhere, I invite you to imagine the presence of your mother standing behind you on the left, the highest version of your mother. And whether she's still here in physical form or she's made her transition, just imagine her presence behind you and the light from her heart shining forward to yours. And then imagine the presence of your father taking his place behind you on the right, the highest version of him. And he too is sending light from his heart to yours. Only light can be shown forward. And for this visualization, I'd like you to imagine your birth parents in these positions. But if there's someone else that you call mom and dad, if you happen to be adopted or grow up with a different guardian, you can allow whoever you call mom to stand next to your birth mom. There's plenty of room for her. And if there's someone else you call dad, let him stand behind your birth father or next to him, excuse me. And they too are sending light forward. And now let's continue to call in the support of our ancestors. Imagine your grandparents, your parents' parents taking their place behind them. Same configuration, mothers, grandmothers on the left, grandfathers on the right. And they are sending light forward to your parents. And then they're sending it on to you at the front. And now another generation, your great-grandparents, all 4 sets of them, whether you met them or not. Imagine they're taking their place behind your grandparents. Others on the left, fathers on the right, and they're sending light forward all the way to you. And now another generation takes their place behind them. Let your imagination fill in those spots, what they might have looked like, or a body of energy, or a silhouette of light, or just feel them back there. And another row of ancestors files in behind their children, and another, and another, and another. All those ancestors happy to take their spot, send light forward all the way to you at the very front. And don't worry if you don't know who they are, they know who you are. And now let's expand our definition of ancestors and include anyone that has touched your life in a positive way. A spiritual teacher, a minister, a coach, a mentor, anyone who has made a difference in your life. Maybe someone from high school you haven't thought of, or a college professor. Maybe a spiritual teacher you never met in person, but they made a great impact on you. Imagine them finding spaces in between your biological ancestors, and they too are sending light forward to you. And in your mind's eye, imagine yourself turning around to look at all that's come before, all those ancestors, all those teachers and mentors, and see yourself giving them a slow, deep bow as a way to acknowledge them, as a way to say thank you for the part they played into bringing you right here to this moment. And when that feels complete, see yourself standing up, look out one more time over that sea of people behind you. Notice whatever you're noticing. And then see yourself turning back around to face the front, still feeling all that light coming from behind like a mighty river of light. And now, if you have children, imagine your children in front of you and the light from your heart shining on them. And if you have grandchildren, you can see them in front of your children, light from your children going to your grandchildren, coming from you and coming from behind. And now imagine all those you've touched. If you're a minister or a practitioner, anyone you've prayed with, if you're a teacher, all of your students, if you're a healer, any of your clients, anyone whose life you've touched, nieces and nephews. Imagine all of those people finding a place in front of you and the light from your heart shining on all of them. People you haven't thought of in a long time. There's a lot of people in front of you now, and they're turning around to face you, and they're now giving you a slow, deep bow as a way to thank you for all that you've been in their life. Without you, they wouldn't be where they are right now. And allow yourself to take that in, that acknowledgement and that gratitude from all those in front of you. Feel that gratitude and acknowledgement and grace as they stand back up. Notice whatever you're noticing in front of you. They're turning back around to face the front. Light still pouring forward, flowing with such ease and grace and strength. And notice how good it feels to know your place. That's right where you belong, in front of your parents, behind your children, feeling strong and peaceful and grounded and in the flow. Just take a moment to be in this image, in this flow. Let's take another slow breath in, just really anchoring in this light, still connected in that light that's everywhere. Breathing in. And as we bring our time of stillness to a close, allow this image to find a place in your heart and mind where you have access to it anytime you need it, anytime you feel stuck or you could use some support. Know that you have a whole cheering squad behind you. The support is there, the flow is there. And little by little, whenever you're ready, allow yourself to come back to this present moment, still feeling the support behind you, still feeling the love and the light and how connected we are. And in your own time, you can open your eyes gently, move around a little bit. If you're with us live on Zoom, you can turn your camera back on. Thank you all for taking that journey with me. I trust that something in there was helpful. I know before I started doing this work 9 years ago, obviously I knew I had ancestors, but I never really thought of how many of them were back there and how they were really wanting to support me. And I often don't think about how many people I've touched. So I know a lot of us on this call are practitioners or ministers or healers. So just really knowing that you felt that love from all of them, because you've made a difference in the world no matter what your role. So I'm just curious if anyone maybe wants to share something that felt like it would be helpful for the group or people to hear later. I know some of you have done that meditation with me many times. It's a little different. It's evolved over the years. But if you do want to share something, use the reaction button and raise your hand or put it in the comments later. I'll try to take a look at the comments, but if there's something you want to share, raise your hand and we'll just hear from one or two people and see before we do the exercise. Anyone want to share anything about that experience, that meditation? Christine?
Yes, that was amazing. That was, that was just the energy, and it was just so beautiful, and very easy for me to fall into that love and that flow. And I thank you, because I agree with you. I I think about my ancestors and my family, but not in that way, and perhaps not as
Beautiful.
deep. And I'm just feeling so good, and I thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm so happy to hear that you got to be in that yummy space and you're still there. Stay there. Anyone else want to share anything before we do the exercise? Raise your hand. Or Carla? Oh, I see you weren't. Were you raising your hand or,
I
or
was,
clapping?
yes.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Both. It was beautiful, and I think I've done something. I must have attended one of your other sessions at some point in my life. The part that got me today, however, were the people turning around to do the deep bow.
Mm-hmm.
That was difficult to accept,
Yeah.
but lovely to do it.
Beautiful. I'm so glad you brought that up because yes, most of us are much more comfortable giving than receiving. So to take a moment to just allow ourselves to receive, and because we know how much it felt good to bow to the people behind us. So it felt good for all of those people to bow to you. So thank you, Carla. Mary Beth?
Kind of on the heels of Carla, what came to me is how humbling this was. We've done this, we've been on this rodeo a couple of times, John.
Yes.
But it to me today, it just touched me so much. It was humbling, but then it wasn't a pride thing. It was just this feeling of immense gratitude. And it was very, very humbling. Not prideful, not pride, just so grateful. Like, oh my God, it is just we're all just walking each other home every day, so.
That's so true. And I love that word that you chose, humbling, because there's something about a bow that is very humbling because we're being very vulnerable. And that's a great transition to what I'd like to do now. I'd like to give you all the experience of being an ancestor and being a descendant. So if you're willing to participate, this is what came to me. If you're, hopefully statistics will work well for us here. If your birthday falls in the first 6 months of the year, January, February, March, April, May, or June, go ahead and stand up as you're able. And you can move your camera a little bit, but go ahead and I'll stand up with you. So if your birthday is in the first 6 months of the year, and if you can't stand up, just put your hands up like this. And those of us who are standing, we are the ancestors. We are representing everyone's ancestors right now, all of your ancestors. So look out at the screen or just let me represent your ancestors if you are watching this on the live stream or later. And feel the strength of standing up and look out at your descendants. Look out at those faces. And descendants, look at all of us that are standing. We're here behind you. And those that are descendants, I'm going to ask you to just very slowly give us an honoring bow, just as a way to honor us. So you can stand up if you want, or you can just stay right there on your screen, wherever you are, and just give a slow bow to us. And I'm going to stay standing because I'm going to receive this bow. And notice how you feel as you bow to your ancestors, just as a way to thank us. A lot of us went through a lot of things, a lot of hardships to get to this country or to get wherever we came from. And do that 2 more times, descendants. Just bow to us, ancestors. And ancestors, notice how it feels to see your descendants bowing to you. And I'm going to speak for all of us ancestors. And I'm going to say, descendants, we see you. Thank you for recognizing us as your ancestors. We bless you. We bless you to do it differently. You honor us by living happy, healthy, prosperous lives. That's how you honor us. And allow those words to sink in, descendants, and allow those words to be from you, ancestors. Think about your descendants and know that that's how our descendants honor us. We don't need anything else. The best gift they can give us is to live happy, healthy, prosperous lives. I hope you all are feeling this, because I'm feeling it for sure. And now, ancestors, let's give a deep bow to our descendants and thank them for the way they honor us. So if you're an ancestor, just take a slow bow. And feel how good that feels to honor our descendants, knowing that they're doing their best, they're plugging along. Let's do that again. We'll give them a slow bow. I know most of us, or many of us, often when we bow, we put our hands in namaste. You can try it both ways. And if you normally do it with your hands like this, try it with your hands just at your sides and see if that feels different. There's not right or wrong. Just notice what it feels like to do a nice slow bow with your arms at your side. And then you can go ahead and sit down. And the last thing I want all of us to try is, well, think of something that that you, maybe a pattern in your family that you've noticed. Maybe something, maybe there's addiction in your family, or maybe there's a health challenge in your family. And often, as I was saying before, in my own family, like we do things out of an unconscious loyalty. It's almost like saying, see how much I love you, mom, see how much I love you, dad, I'll do the same, even though it's not something we would consciously choose. And a lot of us, we took on things for our parents because we saw them carrying things, or there was pain or something that they were carrying, maybe the loss of a child or a loved one in a war, or some deep tragedy. Maybe it was a generational tragedy. There's a lot of a lot up with systemic racism. There's a lot up with, I do constellations all the time around um, people that have ancestors that were in concentration camps in Germany, genocides, just so much. And bless our ancestors, they kept going. They found a way, and their triumph is that we're here. So I'm going to encourage you to place your hands on your heart, and we're all descendants now. And we'll go back to that image of all those ancestors and all those teachers behind us from the meditation. And if there's a pattern that you're noticing, or maybe maybe it's a pain in your knee that you don't want to be carrying, you can place your hand on your knee. Anything that you might be carrying for your ancestors that you might have unconsciously picked up that is no longer serving you. It could be a sadness. Maybe your mom was sad, or maybe your dad was very sad, or maybe there was a financial difficulties, and sometimes we don't feel it's okay to do better than our parents financially. Out of a loyalty, we will only let ourselves be so prosperous, and then we unconsciously sabotage it. Whatever it is, imagine that it's like a ball of energy living somewhere in your body. Often it's in our heart. It could be in your mind, in your head, your shoulders, your stomach, your solar plexus, wherever it is. And imagine yourself pulling that energy out into your hands, like you're pulling a ball of heavy energy that you've been carrying. Maybe you didn't even know you were carrying it. Maybe something I shared in the introduction, like, oh, I never thought of that. That's just a pattern that's repeating. And once you've pulled it out as much as you can, just imagine passing it back. And you can physically do this with your hands, because our ancestors are so ready to take it from us. They don't want us to have the same challenges they had. So you can keep pulling it out. And there's no limit to how much you can pull out or where you pull it out from. Just keep pulling it out and saying, thank you, ancestors, for taking this. I've been carrying this for a long time. I thought it was mine. Thank you for blessing me to do it differently. Thank you for blessing me to have a happy, healthy, prosperous life. Let's be connected through love. Not whatever it is. Oh, I'm noticing myself wanting to take another deep breath. Feel that. Does it feel lighter? Is there more somewhere living in your body? Is there something stuck somewhere that, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was carrying that? Recently, I had the awareness how much responsibility I was carrying. My father had a journey through cancer and passed when he was 45. And I can imagine, as he knew he was dying, the responsibility of, I'm gonna have to leave my 5 children and my wife, and what are they going to do without me, and feeling guilty about that. Think about what it might have been like to be your parents and caring for a large family or some hardship they experienced, and just say, thank you, Dad. Let's be connected through your love of the ocean. My dad was in the Navy and I love being on boats. So I want to be connected to him through a love of the water and not through any kind of an overwhelming sense of responsibility, or that I can't do it, or that I'm not enough. So that's one of the beautiful things about family constellations is you can, once you're aware of the unconscious loyalty, it's not unconscious anymore. And you can reconnect with something consciously. So instead of connecting with my mother's pain and grief, which I was carrying for a long time, I'm going to connect with her sense of humor and her resilience and her love of people. That's what I want to connect with. So find that thing, whatever it is, and say, thank you. Let's connect this way. And one of the practices I often give my clients that have had a rough time with their parents, or maybe continuing to have a rough time with their parents, or maybe never felt closure if your parents have passed, is think about them before you go to sleep tonight and say something along these lines. Dear Mom, dear Dad, please come to me when I'm sleeping, when I'm easier to reach, and give me the love you would have if you could have. I'll say that again. Dear Mom, or dear Dad, or both, please come to me when I'm sleeping and give me the love you would have if you could have. We're appealing to their higher self, the highest version of them, whether they're still here in physical, and maybe there's just no way that they could overcome whatever they're carrying in this physical form, or maybe they've made their transition. The higher self can give you all the love that maybe their physical self couldn't when they were here. So just take that in, feeling the love from our parents right now. My parents are both in spirit right now, and I feel my mom behind me on the left and my dad behind me on the right, and I feel their hands on my shoulder. Imagine that if you can. That's a possibility for you. If not right now, that's okay. There's no right or wrong. But in this space right now, it's safe and they can do it. Maybe that's for the first time they've both been behind you in this space right here and now. So let's take one more deep breath. Looks like my time is almost up, but I want to open it up. If anyone has a question or comment, go ahead and raise your hand again. I'm happy to answer a few questions before we go. And if you want to learn more about Family Constellations, you can visit my website. It's my name, johnharoldmoore.com. And there's a constellations page there. And I've made a video that talks a little bit more about constellations. And I do private one-on-one sessions. I do group sessions. And I'd be happy to share this miraculous experience with you some more. But anyone want to have a question or comment? All right. Well, before we appear to go our separate ways, let's do one last visualization, just in honor of Earth Day and what the work we've done together. Just imagine that your feet are planted firmly in the ground and the roots are going deep into Mother Earth, keeping you strong and planted and grounded. And imagine that that strength is moving up through your tree trunk and your arms are coming up like the branches of a tree, and the leaves are blowing in the wind, and anything that isn't yours, imagine the winds of change are blowing away any leaves that are ready to be released, just like they do in the fall. You are firmly planted and grounded, and the wind is blowing away any energy that's not yours. And one last time, we bring our attention to our heart center, feeling lighter and grateful for the support of our family tree, of our ancestors. Thank you all so much for spending this time with me. Namaste. God bless. I really
Thank you
enjoyed
so
spending.